Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everyone's doing fantastically well. We are back with another episode of Football Heritage with myself and Liam. So there's no Maze, so everyone can enjoy, a bit of peace, hopefully a bit of common sense. You always get that from me. So just before I hand over to Liam, so we can find out how terrible his day has been, it is important for me to note that we do actually have a new theme tune, as I'm sure you've heard. And that's because basically I told Maze I hated it and I'm the one running the show. I'm not. But yeah. So Liam, how you doing?
Very well, my friend. Very well. How are you?
I don't really think that needs to be answered because I'm sure the listeners can guess. But this has been recorded on a Wednesday night, so we are halfway through the week, and Leicester did us a massive favour last night. James Maddison is God. Anyway, moving on to this then. So similar to what we did with Mays, we're just going to have a chat with Liam so we can see what his relationship is with the beautiful game, or as Robert Mays calls it, the bourgeoisie capitalist Liverpool elite game. So,
Jesus, that's a mouthful.
Liam, earliest memories of football, or soccer, as some people call it.
Like Mays calls it. I call him Mays now. You've got me on that bandwagon.
Yeah, see,
as well.
it rolls off, doesn't it, Mr. Mays?
I'd never call him Mays in person, by the way. I've never said that.
But it just rolls off like that.
Just rolls. You're right. Early football memory. My earliest, I probably remember games here and there before that, but ones that really stick in my mind, being an Arsenal fan, would be the 03-04 season, the Invincibles. I do remember games actually from the 02-03 and when we did double, but the real ones that stick out in my mind when I think about really the important times that I've really got on the Arsenal bandwagon would have been the 03-04, the Invincibles. And the one that actually sticks out the most to me, and I have nightmares about it to this day, is the 2-0 loss to end the Invincibles. 2-0 away at United, with possibly, and it's very, very much in line with what I've been talking about throughout this entire season of the podcast, is the refereeing performance that day by Mr. Mike Riley, who somehow is now head of referees in the Premier League today. You can find that clip anywhere online, but that would probably be my earliest and one of my most painful footballing memories.
Is that the one with that absolutely disgusting Rooney challenge that just goes completely?
There was so many. There was one by Neville on Reyes, which was horrible.
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
that one was from behind as well.
Yeah,
that was awful. A penalty that, I mean, compared to some of the pens that are given today that are soft, that in that day, you see some of the tackles that were flying about that weren't given as a booking. Yet the penalty that was given was a disgrace.
Was that the one? Was it at Old Trafford or was it at Highbury?
That was Old Trafford. Yeah, we beat them at Highbury.
What was the game, or what season was it when they beat you 2-0 and Ronaldo, and they were in like the black Vodafone kit, and it was Ronaldo and Rooney who scored
at Highbury?
Yeah,
that was. I think it was a season before. It was really one of the first seasons when Ronaldo broke on the scene. I remember that they outplayed us that day. I think it was either the season after or the season before. Well, obviously it wasn't that season because we were invincible that season. But I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, Black Vodafone kit at Highbury. I think it was 2-0, wasn't it, rather than 2-1? I think it was 2-0. You're right.
Yeah.
But that was one of the games where I remember thinking, this Ronaldo guy is top tier. He was at the time, obviously.
That's the irony. I absolutely detested him then. How things change. I mean, what's funny about that Invincible season is that's the one we got relegated in. So just ask yourself, how long ago does that feel? And think about how long it took us to get back. But I'm pretty sure Thierry Henry scored 5, and you did us 5. You always used to beat us 5-0.
That was back in the days where
even when we were
even
when we were decent, Henry used to unspeakable things to us. So in terms of that, then you've got Arsenal and stuff. But who was the first player when you were in the back garden or the front garden who you wanted to be?
For me, it was probably Dennis Bergkamp.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, Henry was obviously, like you just said, he was unbelievable, and
Yeah.
game winner, game changer.
Mm-hmm.
The type of player I liked watching was a passer or someone that could link the play.
Yeah.
And as much as obviously watching Henry bag ridiculous amounts of goals year on year and obviously assists as well, just the way that Bergkamp played and the silkiness and the nonchalance about the way he played, that really appealed to me, and that was my first real player that I looked at and thought.
That's the thing. I think Bergkamp often gets done dirty, because he was just one of those phenomenal footballers that, like, don't get me wrong, you'll disagree. I do feel the goal against Newcastle gets overplayed a lot, but that was one of several brilliant things that he did.
Yeah.
And it was a shame, really, because I only found out later on that he had a big phobia, didn't he, of flying? Like,
Yeah.
he hated it. But funnily enough, one of the Arsenal fans that me and Mays worked with was saying that he reckons that you probably would have got a Champions League in those early days if Bergkamp didn't have, like, because he would just totally shut down, or he just wouldn't go.
Yeah, no, he rarely would. I mean, unless it was France, unless it was commutable by train comfortably.
Yeah.
Then he'd go. I think obviously Holland as well. I think he'd go to, but yeah, the ones normally Italy he wouldn't go to. Spain, I think he'd really go to. So there was a lot of away games where, do you know what? It wasn't really spoken about. I think it was just kind of accepted. I think today it'd be spoken about so much more, but back then I think it was just a little bit accepted. And I do think we missed him, but equally I think we did very well in sometimes covering up that gap and not making it be so much of a problem. Whereas, as I said today, missing someone like him in your team, it'd be a huge issue.
Oh yeah. So, what was the first game you remember watching, Arsenal-wise?
Oh, that is a good question. There's first game, blimey. I mean, there's going to be games in there that I've sat and watched. But plugging one out of my memory. I mean, the one in the season before the Invincibles, there was obviously when we won a double. That was a huge season for us. I'm trying to think of a specific game. I remember loads of flashes of different moments between the games and between the seasons, but to plug a specific game out of my mind would probably be quite difficult. The one that I always come back to, and I've already linked it, is that one where we lost at Old Trafford. And that's obviously not to say that the games before that, I think I was only 8 years old then.
Yeah.
The games before that, obviously going through that season would have been, great to watch. And there was loads of goals flying in left, right, and centre. But the one that always sticks to me is that, because of the pain that I associate with that one. So that was probably, if I'm to talk about a game that I remember going back as far, it'd probably be that one.
Did you ever get to see a game at Highbury?
No, I've visited Highbury a few times. My brother did, so I was very jealous of my brother. But I missed the opportunity twice to go because we were on holiday. And then I managed to go the first season a few times at the Emirates. So the one thing that always bugged me was not being able to actually see a game at Highbury.
Yeah.
That was really gutting, to be honest. But like I said, because I was quite young, the opportunities that I would have had to go, I'll never forgive him. Brother took him over me. Big brother syndrome, right?
Yeah, well, that's something, funnily enough, I actually get to be the beneficiary of. Sorry, Tom, Phoebe, Rupert, Lucille, and Larissa. Right. First pair of boots and first shirt, go.
First pair of boots.
Total 90s.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm trying to think whether the old Adidas ones with the tongue strap
Oh yeah.
was before. I had a blue pair of them and a white pair of them, actually.
Class.
The old Beckham ones, yeah. I think they were the Predator accelerators. I think they were, weren't they?
They just don't make them like that anymore, do they?
They don't. They were unbelievable. Also, my favourite boot, I think, around that time, maybe a couple of years later, would have probably have been Henri's Vapors, the red ones.
Oh, with the white tick.
Yeah, I actually recently tried to buy them again, but you wouldn't believe the price that they're going for.
Rightly so, in my view, because
Absolutely.
a pristine pair of them, they just make you a better player. If you feel good in your boots, like, you've just got it. And we were speaking before, Dreamcast away shirt,
Yes.
98, 99, was
I
it?
think it was 98, 99. Yeah. So it was the blue away kit. And I was gutted because I actually lost it. So I've got a collection of all my shirts still, and that is the one shirt. It's my first shirt. I remember my dad gave it to me, and it had Burkamp on the back as well. And I was just, I was wearing it to bed. I was wearing it during the day. You couldn't take it off me. And I was gutted because I lost it. And I still don't know where it is today. I'm hoping it's going to turn up in the old loft at the family home. But that was my first official shirt. Yeah.
Very good. Just quickly on kits. In my lifetime, Arsenal have had Nike, Puma, and Adidas. Rank your favourite make. It's a training game, or even that iconic Wenger zip that most people would trip over in. Rank the whole stuff. Nike, Adidas, Puma, Arsenal kits, Arsenal training gear, the lot in order 1, 2, 3.
So third, I'd say Puma.
Rightly so.
Second, I would say Adidas. I do like the Adidas training gear, and I probably have the Adidas training gear over the Nike training gear. But Adidas kit-wise, I'd say was second, and then number one would be Nike.
Is it fair to say, because I think a lot of us sit there and think, when Arsenal don't get the business done and they release a mid to late 90s Adidas retro sweatshirt and all the Arsenal fans forget about it and go out and buy said sweatshirt. Is that true?
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
I think, I think the reason why, I do like the old banana kits and things like that, obviously Adidas, and they do make great kits. And when they've brought that back, I've bought the ones recently, and they are great kits. But I guess what kits mean to me is what you win in them. I mean, I wouldn't associate really.
But what about the FA Cup? What about Arteta's FA Cup win?
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a good victory in a shirt.
And all those FA Cup wins in the Puma kits.
Again, we're talking about one trophy in amongst the 10-year period that was quite poor. But if you look at the Nike kit, when we're again the Invincible season, that obviously is as a kit. Whenever you see it, you think, 03, 04, and then you think, blimey, yeah, what a year. So I think that's more why I'm a little bit sort of subconscious bias to that.
All right. So just before we go on to the rapid fire icebreaker, tell myself and the listeners a little bit about Sporting Hackney, because I didn't know this. It was just me and Maze were speaking about five-a-side the other day, and I saw that when a certain member of the Arsenal fan TV lot was in a bit of trouble, you mentioned that his team played in a league similar to yours. Is it league above, league below?
So that's so I play for two teams, not so much the second team anymore, just because of timing wise. But so I play for a team. As you said rightly so, Sporting Hackney. So they play Saturday League in the Middlesex County League. And then on a Sunday, when I originally moved to East London, I joined a team called Boston Celtics. Lovely. And one of the guys that plays in that team is a good keeper. It's called Soups. He also plays in another league that is associated or plays in the same division as DT's team. So I've never actually played them. They are in the cups that we play in, so we could get drawn against them. But the team that I played for on a Sunday, they weren't in their league. But they, a lot of the boys that would sort of mix and match with the different teams down there, knew him and just knew him as a complete nutter.
Well, where is it you play?
So my home ground for Sporting Hackney is at the Barking Stadium, Maysbrook Park. It's brand new 5G, so much so I've never been on a 5G before where they ask you not to wear trainers on it because apparently it flattens the fake grass. And
what about your position on the pitch?
So usually centre mid, but probably since the turn of the year, probably been playing more as a striker than centre mid.
What would you
so
say?
I'm in a transition.
More Wilshire, more Coquelin when you're playing centre mid?
I'd say more of a
Vieira.
More of a bombing on centre midfielder, puts in a tackle, bit lanky.
All right.
All the above.
Okay. Got the picture. Right, so really quickly, just don't even think about it. Just random five-a-side team, former Arsenal players. In net, Seaman or Lehman?
Lehman.
One defender, Clichy or Gibbs?
Clichy.
Left-sided midfielder, Overmars or Sanchez?
Sanchez.
Right-sided, Ramsey or Ray Parlour? Five
Ray Parlour.
aside. Yeah, right answer. Up top, Lucas Perez or Marouane Chamakh?
Perez.
So you've got a team there of Lehmann, Clichy, Parlour, Sanchez and Perez.
Awful five-a-side team, by the way.
Yeah, I can see a lot of Sanchez throwing his gloves down on Ray Parlour.
Yeah, he'd be livid playing in that team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, fair enough. So you said Bergkamp, obviously favourite player. Favourite Arsenal chant ever? If you want to give a past one and a present one, you can. But yeah, I'd be interested to know what that is.
I'd say present would probably be second in with Smith Rowe.
Yeah, okay.
Big fan of that one. I do like that one.
Yeah.
Past, I'd say purely because of the amount of FA Cups we've won.
Yeah.
She wore a yellow ribbon. That one.
See, I'm surprised at those answers. I thought the first one you were going to say is "We won the league." Because that one's.
Yeah.
And what about today is to do? What is it? 13 league titles. You've only won 2. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is a load of good chance, to be fair. I think what it is for me is every time, because as I said, we've won the FA Cup so many times, and every time we get in that stage where we get, up to the 5th round, the 6th round, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, that is constantly sung, even at the Premier League games. People are singing it because we're excited. We're on the road to Wembley. And because we've obviously won it, I'm testing myself now, I think it's 14 times. Yeah, it's 14 times. Because we've won it that many times, that is such a significant song for me that when I hear it, I'm like, we're going again, and we're going to do it again. So, yeah, it's more. I don't think it's the best song. I think it's more that it means more to me.
All right. So, just going with the FA Cup then. A lot of people, me probably included, look at that and go, for Leeds and for clubs in our sort of position and where we are, a cup run would be great. And if we could win that, that's fantastic, because we probably win a trophy on average once every 20 to 25 years.
Yep.
Whereas for you guys, I know it's obviously nice to win. I think you've won it the most, haven't you? So you want to keep adding to that. But are you really that bothered? Like, when everyone says the FA Cup saved Arsenal's season, would you rather Arsenal finish 3rd with Nish or 5th with an FA Cup?
I think it depends where you are as a club. If you ask me this right now, coming off the back of, in the last 6-7 years, we've won 6-7 years, maybe 8 years, we've won 4 FA Cups.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asking me this now, since we've been out of the Champions League for now 4 or 5 years, I'd probably say Champions League. But I mean, interestingly enough, you could flip it, because I actually read on Twitter today that a Spurs fan was saying if he had the opportunity now to give up 4th and take an FA Cup, he would do that. And that's because obviously Spurs are now gone 14 years without winning a trophy. So I think it's very dependent on where you are and what you've recently appreciated. Right now, I would say for us to get back to where we want to be, an FA Cup's not going to do that. That'll get us into the Europa. They're not our current ambitions. We need to go back into the Champions League and start, going for the better players and get back up there. So, yeah, I'd say top 4 right now is a much more important task than winning an FA Cup.
See, it's funny you should say that, because I saw a tweet the other day, and I think it's almost like also very lazily received wisdom, but received wisdom nonetheless. But footballers these days are more bothered about top 4 and stuff, and the match-going fan or the fan at home wants silverware, because that validates the whole existence, and the whole idea of sport is about competing to win something. But I did actually see a very interesting tweet from someone saying, as a match-going fan, fair enough, you go to Wembley and you win the trophy, and that's great. I think he might have been Chelsea or something like that, and he said, but I've had like times abroad going away to Europe with Chelsea that have given me like atmospheres and cultures and countries and stuff that I never would have got otherwise. Granted, he's probably seen Chelsea win Champions Leagues and stuff, so I suppose that changes it, but I do think there is that sort of experience side to it, as well as going to Wembley's great and you get that day out. But there is also that side of broadening your horizons beyond just domestic football into international football.
Yeah, I think domestic football, as you say, is obviously very important, and that's the big target for most of the teams in this country. There's only obviously 6, now 7 teams in this country that would ever be able to play in Europe. So it's, it's kind of the elite of the elite. The top 7 sides in the Premier League are the only ones, other than if anyone wins the FA Cup, that would be able to enter into that. So I do think that does bring an element of a bit more of a like I said, an atmosphere and a bit more excitement around a club than if you were to just progress into the 5th, 6th round of the FA Cup. So I do get that. And especially because we've been starved of it for such a massive amount of time now for Arsenal's history. It's very important we get back there. I can't wait to see Arsenal back in the Champions League. If we can manage that, that'll be huge for me.
Indeed. So Champions League and Premier League then, if you could have one for you won't just have it once in the next 10 years, you win nothing, just either the Champions League or the Premier League, what would you go for?
Premier League.
I'm very surprised about that. I'm really surprised. I thought you would have leapt at Champions League.
I would have done.
That was the one thing that always eluded Wenger, wasn't it?
Champions League, yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, we lost the 06 final, didn't we? That was terrible. The only reason I say that is because I think the caliber of teams in Europe at the moment aren't what they were.
Right.
So, whereas you look at the Premier League right now, if Arsenal managed to win the Premier League in amongst the Man City, the Liverpool, the Chelsea, those kind of squads, there's before, back in the day, I think 03 or 04, if we go back to that again, there is maybe 2 or 3 teams that would have won it.
Yeah.
Push. Now there's maybe 4, 5, 4, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah,
so if Arsenal could sneak into that 4 and nick it ahead of those 3, Chelsea, City, and Liverpool, I think that would be huge. And we're talking about the Barcelona, we're talking about the Real Madrids. They're not the Barcelona and the Real Madrids of 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So whilst I think winning the Champions League would be a huge feat, I also think that if we won it 10 years ago when we had the opportunity, that would have been bigger then. So yeah, right now I'd put the winning the Premier League in its current format with the current teams in there competing a more difficult challenge than winning the Champions League.
With the Champions League then, there's obviously that, I don't know if it was in the Champions League, the Ozil goal against Ludogorets.
Yeah,
that I always see stinking up the opening credits. The thing is, I wasn't going to ask you this, but I'm interested in what Arshavin performance did you prefer? The obviously Arshavin coming in late against Barcelona to curl that in, where you just see the picture and everyone can hear it, or for the listeners, obviously my mouth is wide open and I'm holding up 4 fingers and I'm looking at Liam in disbelief as he did when he bagged 4 against Liverpool. Not quite as good as when Viduka did it, but class.
Which Arshavin performance did I prefer?
Yeah.
As a player performance, I'd say Liverpool.
That was just mad, wasn't it? Absolutely mad.
It was crazy, mate. It was absolutely crazy, and yeah, that obviously you follow loads of Arsenal accounts on Twitter, and on this date, you don't realise that when you actually follow these accounts and they post these on this date, previous years, how many different things have happened, and it jogs your memory all the time. And that one obviously comes up pretty much every year because it's such a significant event. And yeah, although we didn't actually win that game, we drew it 4-4. So as a game, it was pretty disappointing to score 4 at Anfield and still not win. But as an individual performance, that was insane from him. That was brilliant. I don't actually think he played. I don't know if he even started that game against Barcelona. I actually think he came on as a sub. I don't remember him for that performance. That performance for me was all about
Wilshere.
Fabregas, Wilshere. Yeah, Wilshere was unbelievable that day. Nasri as well played well. I think he actually came on as a sub, but obviously scoring that goal that moment, is stained in my mind as one of the best moments, because no one fancied us for that game, and that was against probably Barca in their prime or in their prime years. You know, the David Villas, the Busquets, the Xavis, the Iniestas, the Messis,
Indeed.
obviously.
So, just really quickly on the UCL and the Premier League's finish off before we come on to the specialist in failure.
Yep.
Apart from that 05-06 Arsenal team, which team or which season did you think you had the best chance of winning it since then? Where you looked
Premier
at
League?
UCL, where you look at the group stage, maybe you've got past it with flying colours, and you think we've actually got a real chance here if we play our cards right.
I don't ever feel like we've really been, ever since that year, I don't think we've ever been close.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've ever been close. I think that was the team we had at that year. We still had Pires there. We still had Lundberg. That was really their sort of swan song, and that was their last opportunity to really go for it. After that moment, the first year of the Emirates, we dropped off a cliff a little bit. We lost Henry. It might have been the year after, actually. I think we had one more year at Highbury, didn't we?
Was that 05-06 year the one where Henry just absolutely ran riot at the Bernabeu? Was that 05-06?
That was on way to the final, yeah. That is, I know you asked me before about my earliest memory. That is my greatest memory. I remember sitting in the front room. My dad and brother had just left the room at the same time. I think they went to, I don't know, to the loo or whatnot. And I've seen him pick the ball up in the midfield and go past, 4 players? Not only go past them, but just powering past them, shoving them off, throwing Beckham to the ground, throwing it was Guti to the ground, and going past Ramos, unbelievable, and he's slotting in the corner. And he was such a nonchalant player, and even after scoring that goal, his face was still like concrete, and he was looking up at the Arsenal fans in the heavens at Bernabeu. That for me is one of the best moments I can remember as a kid as an Arsenal fan. But yeah, since then, I don't really think we've ever been in it. I think we've had opportunities to get to the semis. I think the year that we played AC Milan, who that year weren't a great side, and I think we conceded 4 at San Siro in the quarters, maybe, I think it was, and then we won 3-0 at the Emirates. That one was probably one of the only years that we could have been like, all right, if we get past this poor AC Milan side into the, I think it was the quarters or the semis, then we could have a chance of really going for this. But again, we're in that time and that era of Arsenal where we were throwing away games.
And on that note, am I right to assume the year Leicester won it was the year you thought we can we can do it this year? With Chelsea falling off a cliff, Man United being absolutely terrible, City being transitional. So if you just leave it at that, it was that season.
That season, that we beat them twice that year as well. That was unforgivable.
So in terms of unforgivable and Wenger, then in hindsight, which is a wonderful thing, when do you think he should have gone?
Sorry, mate. Say that again for me. Sorry, I lost you.
That's not a problem, mate. In hindsight, when do you think Wenger should have left?
I think he went at the right time. Whether he could have gone earlier, there was a couple of seasons where he was kind of hanging on for dear life, and we weren't really progressing. But I think hindsight has been great. I don't think we've progressed since he's left. So then the question could be asked: Have we really been that much better since he's gone? Was it the right decision? I think we needed freshening up as a club, and I think he had too much say in the club and was running it how he wanted to run it, day in, day out, which was, for 5-6 years on a bounce, failing us. We were nicking top 4s and stuff like that. And obviously today that looks really well because how hard it is to nick a top 4 today. But yeah, I think the time he went was maybe a year late. But I don't think it was necessarily, I should have gone 3 or 4 years before that. I think he was still a top class manager at that time, and I think as we've seen since he's gone, it's not an easy job, especially with a squad that Arsenal had when he left, and what we have achieved since then with that squad, which is not a lot.
But do you not think that perhaps he should have gone in 15, 16, or no, 14, 15, when you won the FA Cup, not the one against Hull, the second one, when you won it against Villa, I think that was. Do you not think he should have gone then? Because following on from that, Ozil getting away with murder, doing absolutely nothing. Sanchez didn't want to be there. There was just deadwood players on massive money that he didn't seem that bothered about. I could be completely wrong. It's just what I remember thinking. Deadwood players, though, should have been gone, who were just sat there on massive money. And I heard a lot of Arsenal fans saying, the day we do not get fourth at the end of the season is the day he should have gone. But did he have a season or two in the Europa League? And what I would say is, do you think you should have just stuck with Unai? Because you have fourth until the last day when you lost to your favourite club, Brighton, and then you didn't get it, and then it was a dead man walking.
It was, there was a capitulation, I think, over a few games towards the end of that season where it was in our hands, and it fell apart. I think there's an argument to be made of what you said. Yeah, okay, there was, the Alexis and Ozil that were there and weren't performing potentially to the levels that they had been in previous years. I think we've seen that since as well. I don't think necessarily that was a Wenger issue. I think, we signed Aubameyang up to a long period deal, and look how that ended up in the last year and a half. And I think Ozil obviously was a similar situation.
Yeah.
Pre that as well. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily blame Wenger for that. I think Ozil actually signed his contract after Wenger had left.
Perhaps.
I think, and quote me on that. But again, I don't actually think necessarily, because Wenger had a very specific way of dealing with wages. I don't believe he would be giving Ozil 350 or whatever he was on, ridiculous. But that shouldn't have been done, and I think that probably wouldn't have been done if Wenger was still there. But I don't know. I think there is an argument for both, because of the last few years he was there were poor. I didn't like how it ended, especially at the Emirates. I think Emirates crowd for the last
pounded him out.
Yeah, and it wasn't nice to see. And then they did the same with Emery, and I think Emery didn't probably get on with a lot of the players. We had a lot of prima donnas in that squad for him, and I actually do think Emery is a good manager, and I think he's proven that since he left us. He proved it before he joined us, and he's proved it since he's left as well. So I don't dispute him being a bad manager at all. I think we have a lot of problems that maybe weren't brought to the surface during Emery's reign. I think Arteta's done a pretty good job at weeding that out.
What do you say to people who look back on 2010 to whenever it was Wenger went and say it was absolutely outrageous, the way he sold Van Persie? He kept persevering with Giroud and Podolski, and everyone said we need an attacking midfielder. And then we got Ozil, but then it was clear that we needed more goals, and we didn't sign a striker. And then we got Lacazette and Aubameyang, but then it was clear we needed a really aggressive CDM to play with Ozil to protect him. And he didn't do that, and he was persevering with Coquelin and El Neni. And Wenger comes out and says, we've got a war chest to spend, and then gets Czech on a free, and that's it.
Yeah, our problem has been, for a number of years, the recruitment has been, of certain players, has been good. What we haven't done is cover all areas. So like you said, we'd go and buy 2 strikers, Aubameyang and Lacazette. Suddenly everyone's like, okay, this is great. And then we've got 2 poor midfielders behind them. And then we'd add, a class midfielder in someone like Partey. And for the pre-Partey actually, we'd have a good midfield, and we'd have a poor back line. We'd have Mustafi there, we'd have Socrates there. There was always one element of the squad that would let everyone else down. And that's the same, I think, when Alexis was there. If we had the team we had now, or the defence we have now, the goalkeeper we have now, with Alexis, prime Alexis in that team, and possibly a prime Ozil as well, I think this team's probably competing up there with the top 3, let alone top 4. So, I think they're the part of Wenger that really let his last 5 years down was strengthening in one area, but ignoring another. And that really ended up costing us in those sort of 4 or 5 seasons, I think, which inevitably led to the end for him.
So ultimately, I know that you hate Spurs, everything about them, fan base. After Tottenham, who do you hate the most?
I really don't like Chelsea. I think Chelsea, I really didn't like them for a very long time, and Chelsea for me were on par with, not on par, that's a lie. They were just below Tottenham.
Yeah.
But that came from Arsenal never picking up points at Stamford Bridge. Stamford Bridge was just that game, and in every season you see the fixture list come out, and you look at that and you just go, write it off now, because that's going to be, a classic day where we might start well, and then they'd score a goal, we capitulate, suddenly they're 3 or 4 past us. That really started, I looked at Chelsea and I thought, this team could go up to any other ground in the league and either get beat or get held to a draw. Yet Arsenal turn up at their doorstep every time and just get rolled over. So that for me was a really annoying team to face. Them, and equally United. Not United so much anymore, because I don't see United as
Man United, Liam. Man United.
Manchester United, sorry.
Yes, that's them.
I don't see them really as. I think we could go to Old Trafford and beat them easily, and I think we have been able to do that for the last sort of 4 or 5 years. But Chelsea irritate me.
Fair enough. Really quickly then on England. Do you think England are ever going to win anything in your lifetime? And is Gareth Southgate a great manager, an elite manager, or a waistcoat fraud?
I do think we'll win something. Come obviously very close the last two.
The Nations League doesn't count, mate. A real trophy.
Oh, so I thought you were just talking about Nations League. No. Okay.
No.
No, I think we will. Semi-finals of the World Cup, finals of the Euros. I shed a tear that day. I haven't shed a tear since, or I hadn't shed a tear for a good 5, 6 years before that. But that day I shed a tear because I truly believe we'd actually win that. So, yeah, I think we will. Southgate, is he a good manager, a good coach?
Yeah.
Maybe. Doesn't blow me away. Tactics-wise, questionable sometimes. I think he's got a good squad, a good English squad that's there, that I think probably helps him a lot.
Correct.
Give him a poor England squad, I think he's struggling.
Correct.
So I wouldn't call him a waistcoat fraud, sorry. But I wouldn't call him the best manager England have ever seen either.
Absolutely not. Well, the thing is that annoys me is people forget that he's been born with a 4-leaf clover in his hand, because the runs England have had in the World Cup and the Euros.
Yeah.
Let's see him waistcoat his way out of a real group with real teams, then we'll see.
Yeah, I think he also followed up from a couple of strings of poor England managers.
Yeah, true.
So it's made him look better, right? He suddenly becomes the saviour.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He's excellent. He's a great speaker. He's brilliant at communicating with the media, and rebranding and fixing what was a broken relationship between the general public and the England squad.
Yeah, he's brought everyone together.
Yeah, he's been fantastic at that. So we'll park England, as my sixth form teacher used to say. We'll move on to this Arsenal quiz, and I'm just going to have a quick look at the old questions there. I reckon you get 3 out of 10. Did it with Mays earlier, and he got 1.
Oh, crikey. Sounds hard.
So, are you ready for the first question?
Yeah, let's do it.
How many appearances, and I'll accept to the nearest 50, did former Leeds, Villa and Al Ahly manager David O'Leary make for Arsenal? Your all-time appearance record holder.
350.
Terrible. 722.
No
total.
way.
Call yourself a fan. Terrible.
Is that right?
Yes, Liam, that's right.
That was a little bit before my era, to be fair.
No excuse. Second question. Who did Arsenal sign Thomas Rosicky from?
It's 1 or 2. I will. Oh no. Just had a third name jump in my head.
It's not a team in the Czech Republic.
No, Borussia Dortmund.
Yes.
Yes.
There you
I
go.
was going to say Sparta Prague.
You're leveling with Mays. In the 1994 European Super Cup, Arsenal lost over 2 legs to AC Milan. What was the score?
You might have seen throughout this entire podcast that my memory doesn't serve me very well.
Just take a stab.
So 2 legs, the overall aggregate score.
Yeah, don't get caught, because Mays got caught up in 2 legs. Don't get caught up in that. They used to just do that. Just think about a real Italian approach to it.
1-0.
2-0.
Oh, I was going to say 2-0.
Funnily enough, in one of the legs, a young and only recently balding Paolo Di Canio featured for AC Milan.
Is that right?
How many attempts did it take Arsene Wenger to beat Jose Mourinho?
Was it 10?
More than that, I'll give you one more guess.
I thought he did it on his 11th. I'll go 11.
14.
Oh, Christ! I knew it was double figures, but I thought he did it on the 11th attempt. I don't know why 11th jumped out to me.
Although to be fair, he might have done it. I'm not quite sure that 14 number could be Premier League. He could well have beaten him in an FA Cup or something. I'm not sure.
I don't think he did, because it actually took him to move 2 teams. I think the first time he did it, I'm trying to think the first time he did it. It was right at the end of his tenure.
Yeah,
I think it was United.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. So you're right. I think 14 might be all competitions.
How many FA Cups did Arsene Wenger win as Arsenal manager?
Oh, God. $13.
Have another guess.
It's not 13, is it? It's 13. 7.
Spot on.
Come on.
The thing is I think a lot of people forget he didn't really win that many early on, and then it was just in those last few years when I think you won. Did you win 3 in a row and then you won a 4th one under Wenger?
We won. So towards the end of his reign, we won 2 on a bounce. I think it was 2 on a bounce, and then a gap, and then a 3rd.
All right. 6 Germans who've played for Arsenal. Go on then, give me 6.
Ozil.
Yeah, 1.
Saka.
2.
Lehmann.
3.
Have started in the first team.
Tell me who you're thinking, and I'll tell you if I'll allow it.
I've got the 4th, so the 4th would be Podolski.
Yeah.
There is one, you'll laugh at me, but I actually don't think he ever played in our first team. Amari Bischoff.
No, I'm not having that.
4. 3 more. I'm going to struggle. Can you give me a hint for the last 2? Any sort of hint?
To be fair, you've had 4. I do think there are 2 you should get. There's 2 Germans that have left recently. There's one German that famously tweeted, "North London is red," when playing for another team. And there's also the prospect that was signed that was supposed to be better than the player aforementioned, but never worked out for him.
The other one was Serge Gnabry.
Yeah, that's 5. I said this guy should be Arsenal captain based on the fact that he's good looking.
Oh, of course, yeah, Bernd Leno.
Yeah, 6.
Sorry, yeah.
I would have accepted Thomas Eisfeld, and one I thought you would have get was Shkodran Mustafi.
Oh, see, that guy is. I'm trying to put him to bed in my memory because that guy is a disaster.
Fair enough. Thing is, he started really well, Mustafi. I remember thinking, what a signing, and then just fell off a cliff.
I remember when he scored that goal in the World Cup, he scored a header for Germany just before he signed for us, and then we were thinking, oh my God, we've got an absolute superstar.
Funny how it works out, eh? Top of your head, nearest percent, George Graham's win percentage as Arsenal manager. Thing is, it's not that bad, but these days, sackable offence.
Give me to the closest 5%.
Yeah.
55.
Nailed your own coffin. 49.
Oh, I was going to say 45.
Oh no.
Oh, I went a little bit high. He did have a great. He was a good manager for us, George Graham.
Yeah, he was. He was very good for us as well. Very good for us. What number did Podolski wear for Arsenal?
9.
Correct. How many honours has Alexis Sanchez, baby? Alexis Sanchez, won since he left Arsenal? Not individual. How many team honours?
3.
2. He
2.
won Serie A with Inter and Supercoppa Italiana.
Yeah, because he didn't win anything at United. So it's just how many he'd won at
Inter.
Inter. Oh, that's annoying.
Can you name, this is the last question, so you're currently on 4. To get 5, which I think is a very respectable score, can you name all 6 Premier League clubs Nicolas Anelka played for?
Okay. Guy's been round the block.
Yeah.
Okay, Arsenal.
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yes.
Man City.
Yes.
I swear it's going to get difficult. No, the last few. I don't want to start just thrashing names out there.
All right. Okay. I'll give you a clue for these last 3. One of the clubs is the smallest club in Merseyside.
Okay, Everton.
No, the actual smallest club.
Oh, of course, Liverpool.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I shouldn't, but I will.
I've just thought of another one.
Go on.
Bolton.
Yes, spot on. Right, the last one. This was really late on in his career. They signed him from Shanghai Shenhua, and he did a very infamous celebration, which I think was called the Canal, and he got in loads of trouble for doing it.
Yeah. Striped kit.
Yeah, that's right.
See him. West Brom.
I shouldn't give you that because it's West Bromwich Albion, but I will. So that's actually 5 out of 10, which is a very good score.
It's disappointing. 50% is not where I aim to be in life.
Right, so to finish this, we were.
He's only got 1, by the way. What one did he get?
Mays. He got. Hang on, let me think. What was it? Podolski's number.
Oh, what, the easiest one?
The thing is, he came close. I was surprised. He got all the Anelka ones apart from Liverpool.
Did he really?
Yeah, which I thought was ironic.
Do you know what? I wanted to say Liverpool, but I couldn't picture him in the kit.
It's because I think he was on loan there from Real Madrid or something like that, so he wasn't like.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because he's been absolutely everywhere. He left Arsenal, went to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
It was PSG, and then he went on loan to Liverpool from PSG.
Indeed.
He's been everywhere, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. So we were going to actually go into these in more detail, but I think you'll just get too annoyed. So I'm going to read you 3 statements.
Yeah.
Okay. And in the end, I want you to rank them. Which one you disagree with the most?
Okay.
The one that comes in the middle, and then the one in which you could understand why people have arrived at that conclusion.
Okay.
All right. First statement. Mourinho is a better manager than Arsene Wenger ever was because he's won 8 league titles in 4 different countries, 2 Champions League, 2 Europa Leagues, and what he did with Real Madrid to overcome that irresistible Barcelona team was unbelievable.
Okay.
So that's the first statement. May said you'd hate this one. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm happy to debate it another time to the hills. I think it's true. Historically, Arsenal have always been, by far, the biggest club in London. Now, Chelsea are. All right. Okay. Last one. Henry, always a better footballer, but Sergio Aguero is hands down a better striker than Henry ever was. So out of all those statements, which one turns your stomach the most?
That last one.
Really? You're
Yeah.
having that Chelsea are a bigger club than Arsenal, but you'll tolerate that over Aguero, who is minutes per goal better than Henry.
Minutes per goal is nonsense. I'm sorry, minutes per goal.
You and Mays love stats. You love throwing stats at me.
I don't think I'm not a lover of stats. I think stats have a place in a time and a place. But I think if we're talking about Henry in his prime versus Aguero, who is a great goal scorer,
Yeah.
but there is no way that man had an effect on the game as much as Henry did.
What about his last minute goal that won City their first title?
Yeah, but anyone could have stuck that in from 6 yards.
Rubbish. Right, so you're saying that, which I'm surprised with, that annoys you the most. All right, then which one are you like?
That annoys me most because I think I've had that discussion with Bobby before.
All right.
And that for me is a non-starter because Henry is just levels above Aguero. I don't dispute Aguero is a good player, but it's Thierry Henry we're talking about.
But I haven't said that. I've said Henry's always a better footballer, but in terms of number 9 striker, Sergio is better.
But what was the actual word in the question?
Henry will always be a better footballer, but cards down, Aguero is a better Premier League striker.
Okay, all right. Because I heard the first bit and I knew where it was going. I got upset. All right, yeah. Look, let me back up my other answer first. So, because I didn't put Chelsea and Arsenal in that first one, the reason for that is because I don't agree with it by any stretch, but Chelsea have won the Champions League
twice,
and Arsenal haven't. Now you could say, all right, okay, what does the European Cup have to do with London? But I think if you're talking about being, the biggest club in London, you need to have a lot to show for it, and that we haven't, obviously, for the last coming up 20 years now, won the Premier League either. So again, I don't agree with it. I think in terms of an argument for being the biggest club in London is being the biggest followed club and the best supported club. I think we would have Chelsea on that hands down, because I think a lot of Chelsea fans have been bought. But yeah, I can't dispute the fact that they've obviously got those honours and we haven't, and that's hard to look past. So that's why it's in the middle part.
Okay.
And then I don't like Mourinho, never have liked Mourinho, and I think Mourinho's got a lot of issues and a lot of downfalls. But I can't argue with the way you described that question.
Yeah.
Can you read it again for me?
Mourinho is a better manager than Wenger.
That part is, yeah, okay. Pinch of salt on that first bit.
Based on the fact, 8 league titles, 4 countries, 2 Champions Leagues, 2 Europa Leagues, and he overcame what was the best footballing team I've ever seen. Yeah. And he did it, winning La Liga in 11-12, most goals scored in a season, record points tally.
Yeah, I mean, it is impressive, isn't it? 2 Champions League, 2 Europa Leagues, winning the title in multiple leagues as well. It's good. Obviously, Wenger he chose to stay at Arsenal for the majority of his career, so there's certain parts of that he wouldn't have been able to do anyway. But it is impressive. Yeah. I think the last 5 years, though, Mourinho is a shadow of anywhere near that kind of caliber manager that Wenger was, though.
He'll be back. Just you wait.
He won't be back.
He's forever. He's going to be the next Leeds manager. Right. On that note, thank you very much for your time, Liam.
Hey, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, well, it's been great to chat to you and give you the opportunity to let us know about your earliest memories and what you're thinking of Arsenal and test the waters with some of my views as well.
It's good.
Yeah, so thank you very much, and I will catch you soon.
Thank you very much. All the best. Cheers, mate.